Good morning, evening, or afternoon, everybody. It's Kaghoe coming at you with another video. So, as we do our weekly numbers updates, and we're continuing with that trend. So, I like to do them on Fridays, but we had some very sad news with the blue post that we needed to cover, so that got pushed back. But it's all good. Friday, Saturday, what's the difference to you guys? But anyway, we have some actually pretty shocking numbers. Obviously, a few reasons for why these numbers are what they appear, but we'll get into it in a moment. Before we get into the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Everything you guys do helps my channel grow, helps me get discovered, and helps me help as many people as possible, which is the entire point of my channel. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So a few disclaimers. One, I'm just going to tackle this right here because I know someone's going to comment on it. I'm actually on layer 3 right now at 10:30 a.m. on a Saturday, so just wanted to clear that up because someone usually comments on the state of Warcraft. So if I log in and I'm not in the popular layer, everyone freaks out. Just want to show you I'm in a fresh spun up layer 3. There were like 2 people when I logged in 10 minutes ago, and as you can see, it's starting to fill up pretty nicely. As well as these numbers that we go over are the current raid numbers, people that are raiding and logging it. If people are not participating in a raid that gets logged, they do not reflect in this number, and that can be very revealing because there are a lot of people, especially in the classic community, that just PvP, that just do world things that could be even leveling, and there's just a lot of stuff to do in the world. Obviously it is classic WoW, so they might not be raiding on a character, as well as that does count for people like me that are playing 2 characters every week. So I essentially count as 2 in this list, and a few other people would definitely count as more as well. But without further ado, let's head over to the video. So we are over here with the original, this is Classic 2019 chart, and it goes from Classic 2019 all the way to Cata, 5 years of numbers, datas, and graphs. And as you can see, most dips happened at expansion swaps. So right here is the Classic going into TBC. Then we have TBC going into Wrath right here, and then we have Wrath going into Cata right here. And there are a few trends to point out, obviously, and we'll definitely do that. So generally speaking, Classic 2019 had about 300 to 400,000 players. Same with TBC, around 300 to 400,000 most of the time. Yeah, TBC started to go a little bit lower towards the end. Same with Classic, because Sunwell and Nax are actually quite difficult and require a lot of coordination and effort to clear those raids. And as you can see, there's always a dip when you can't just simply log in and pug a raid. Then we have Wrath of the Lich King. Obviously, Wrath of the Lich King, the most popular expansion Blizzard has ever had. I don't think it's ever been exceeded. It is so popular, and even over in China, apparently China, because of all the restrictions and getting WoW shut off, they are still in Wrath of the Lich King, and on the Chinese logged websites, they had 9 million players logged for Wrath of the Lich King rating in Classic over in China, and that is just absolutely insane. These numbers you see here are NA and EU numbers, so like we're at 500,000 and China is at 9 million people. It is absolutely bonkers how many people are playing World of Warcraft over in China and not here in the US and EU. But I just wanted to share with you that fact because it's insane. This is our all-time Classic 2019 peak at 626,000 players. So as you can see, obviously fluctuations as it goes, that's to be expected. ICC was drug out really, really long, so that's why you see it go down. Like, people can only kill the Lich King so many times before they give up. I rated every single week up until towards the end. I kind of dialed it back to just 1 instead of 2 characters, but pretty wild. So anyway, here is Cataclysm. So this was a first mixed week at 209,000, where they only had like half a week, I think, or they only released some of the content. Then we have it shot up to its record of 317,000, which is on par with most of the Classic 2019 era. And people probably thought they were going to maintain that number, but as you can see, ever since peaking, it has been nothing but a steady decline over at Cataclysm. And this week, right here, last week, it was less than Season of Discovery, and this week it fell way more. It's down 35,000. Now I will note that Firelands came out on the 7th, so that is not really being tracked too much here. So people probably were just resting, getting ready for Firelands, so that's probably where that accounts for. So it is a statistical anomaly, and there is good reason for Firelands. I can't wait for next week to see how big Firelands actually is. It is well regarded as one of the best raids in the Cataclysm expansion, but is it too late? Did they wait too long? Did too many people quit? Or are we going to see the resurgence? That's the biggest question for Cata, but I have been worried for Cata seeing this trend because this is the first patch of it, and as you can see when we look at Classic, we look at TBC, we look at Wrath, they held that 300,000 minimum player base for the majority of their expansions, and Cata lost it within like 5 weeks of it starting to be an expansion, and it is really, really sad to see that, especially when you care about the Classic project as a whole and where it is headed. But those are my thoughts on it and the alarm bells that I have been sounding off for the past weeks, watching it fall and fall and fall. Next, we come over to Season of Discovery, which is split into Phase 1 right here. Then we have Phase 2 going throughout this way. And then we have Phase 3 right here into Phase 4. So Phase 1 was 10 weeks, Phase 2 was 8 weeks, and Phase 3 was 14 weeks. So Phase 1 was insane. It popped off. It almost had 500,000 players at its peak. Important to note that some people like myself counted as 8 people. I literally had every class of 25 for the rune videos I was doing, and I was able to hit every single one at a raid with the guild and friends and community. So I literally counted as 8 one of these weeks. So that is important to note. Like, you could literally make a character fresh and get it to 25 in a day and then go into BFD and get some gear. So it was actually kind of crazy, and I think that is well reflected here. Then we had Phase 2, which was a big hit to everyone. Leveling 25 to 40 with none of the XP, none of the boosts. I did 2 characters in 2 weeks, and it literally killed my will to keep going and do all 8 characters, and so I only did like 4 or 5 of them. And then Phase 3 just down to 2 for me personally, and I've held that 2 for a while, but it was just a lot. And as you can see, Phase 2 was the shortest phase we saw, and those numbers dropped out fast. Then we got to Sunken Temple for a bunch of reasons. Phase 3 was a terrible phase and caused a lot of people to stop playing. The most notable being Sunken Temple was really, really hard, as well as it required 20 people. So the math just makes sense. You get half as many logs because groups had it combined. It's almost exactly half right here. And then people just started to give up. They were like, what's the point? We were expecting new. Then they announced the delay, and it just got worse and worse, hitting an all-time low of 20,000 raiders. However, we got Phase 4 to come out. This was the week where we only had Onyxia and Azurgos, and then we had MC here at 75k. Then it steadily climbed up to 88,000, and then it stayed around there between 75 and 85,000 players. And this was BWL week at 88k, and as you can see, it's been 88 to 85k the entire time BWL has been out, which is really good because that is the only thing to do really in Phase 5 right now, is do raid and do that. So saw it holding strong at around, we can round up to 100,000 players if you want, just to say that, but 88,000, whatever you want to say. It's really healthy and good to see that you have a loyal, dedicated player base that keeps logging in, that keeps playing, and keeps doing things in the game instead of just, raid logging, quitting. It's really nice to see that, and I am happy for SOD. Most MMOs, when they hit that low point, they don't recover. Like, when we see this steady decline for 14 weeks into a rock bottom of 20,000, most of them just fall off and die. So I think it is a testament to how awesome Phase 4 was and how Phase 5 has continued with that. I don't know how long this will hold. I am very worried for Phase 6 because it just looks like we're getting AQ at this moment. Obviously, the PTR was delayed, so we'll be able to dive into that more once we get PTR info, and we can start building hype around that too. If we, obviously, if it's warranted. I don't like to just hype it up and say, oh my gosh, this is a bunch of stuff. But as you can see, Orgrimmar is filled up, if you guys were wondering from the beginning of this video. Just 10 minutes right like that. As you can see, there are people playing SOD. SOD is going very strong and healthy as far as everything. But at the end of the day, I think my goal and what I want to see is Classic Plus, and that only happens if the Classic project is healthy, if people are playing it, if people are enjoying it. And when I see something like Cata's decline and rapid decline as it has been, it's really alarming and really sad to see. Hopefully it can stabilize around at least 100,000 like SOD is doing, but I'm very worried because if it's not healthy, people aren't gonna like go back and play Mist. Like for me, example, after Wrath and I saw my guild that I've been raiding with for 5 years, they kind of gave up. They either went to SOD or they just didn't play anymore. Like they just kind of quit when we got to Cata. So like I took all my gold and I just bought a bunch of WoW tokens. So like I bought like 15 months of WoW tokens. That's what I did with all that. And so like if MOP becomes popular and if we go to MOP even, like it'll be really weird to go back and do that with no gold. I'd probably stick to whatever classic project they were going with and whatever classic season they were doing. But anyway, guys, that's all my thoughts. I would love to hear what you guys think, what your concerns are, what your thoughts are on these populations. But it's always nice to just sort of, use some real-world skills and graph analysis instead of just talk about WoW all the time. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you still there? Well, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this entire video and making it to the end here. If you enjoyed this video, definitely check out the other videos about World of Warcraft listed in these playlists down below. And thank you again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.